Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and today we're taking a look at the lighter side of tarot and divination. And I thought it would be fun to do a video on baseball tarot. Now, I've had this deck for a long time. As a matter of fact, I made reference to the original Atea deck that I was ever given was from a neighbor who lived next door to me years ago. And she had told me that she was throwing two decks that she had out. They were from her ex, and I either grab it as it falls out of her hand practically, or it goes in the garbage. So I took it. Well, this was the second one that the neighbor gave me. Now, I had imagined that it was probably given to me in the early 90s, but the publication date on this is 99. So I was mistaken. I would have had it probably in 2000, 2001, something like that. I know my children weren't that old, but I was imagining it a little bit earlier than it actually happened. At any rate, so I've had this deck for a really long time. Somehow I have two books on it. Now the book came with the set. So I would not have the book without the set. So I'm not really sure how I ended up with two books and not two decks. I'm not really sure how that happened. But through the years, you acquire things, and I don't remember how I acquired everything. But I do know for a fact that I got this deck and book when I received the original Atea deck that I was ever given, the one by Remote. Anyway, I thought it would be fun to do a showcasing of this deck finally, and it kind of shows the lighter side of tarot. I've been using tarot in recent weeks and months for more serious matters, and divination for more serious matters like true crime, or what happened to, or what can we do collectively to make the world a better place, or whatever, But sometimes it's just fun to tune into fun. And what is more fun in life than baseball? My husband, I'm a baseball widow. My husband is a Yankees fan, and he has never, not once, no matter what country we were in, has he ever missed a Yankees game. And I'm not joking. This man is a Yankees fan for sure. As a matter of fact, during COVID, I guess it was like 2020 or maybe 2021, he was actually even featured as one of the veterans that the Yankees, focused on in their seventh inning period of time. Unfortunately, because of COVID, he wasn't there in person. They had to do it like just with his picture, and so unfortunately he wasn't able to be recognized in person. But they put his stats up there and his photograph up there and everything, and it was really kind of cool. So he's definitely a diehard Yankees fan. So every year around this time of year, I know that opening day was weeks ago, but my husband will say to me, "How are the Yankees going to do today?" Or "How will the Yankees do this season?" That kind of thing. Now, he did ask me this morning when I showed him that I'm going to showcase this baseball deck. He said, "Find out how they're going to do today. Today is April 28th. It won't be viewed. This won't be released on the 28th. It'll be released in a few days' time, either tomorrow or the next day or whatever. So it'll be a couple days old by the time I release it. So it'll be interesting to see how they actually did compared to what how the reading goes." But today he's just asking how they're going to do today. They're playing Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Brewers. So keep that in mind. But the first thing I'm going to do is just showcase this deck, because I don't think I've ever done it on my channel before, and I thought it would be fun to do. This deck was, as I mentioned, a book and card set, and it was created by Mark Lerner and Laura Phillips. And this is a deck that kind of shows how tarot kind of is, can be for everyone, because there are parallels in what the author is suggesting is that there are parallels between tarot and a game of baseball. But, really, there are parallels between tarot and everything, which is why it's so effective as a method for touching into our subconscious or other sources, if some people believe that. I am talking too much. Let me flip the camera. Now let me talk about the cardstock, because you'll see it's large. I have long fingers. I have a slender hand. So from the base of my palm, it's up to the top knuckle of my pointer finger. And so it's, it's a large deck. Now, if you have man hands that are bigger than mine, I think you'll be all right. And it seems contrary to what you would think, because it seems like it's laminated on both sides. It's got a high gloss. And because it's cardstock that's laminated, you would think that it would be really hard to shuffle. But if you had man hands, right? If you're a fella and you have like bigger hands than I do, listen to how this shuffles. I don't want to actually shuffle it, because then I'll have to put it back in order. But it shuffles great. I mean, it really, it gives a great sound. I mean, that sounds great, and it's much more flexible than I would have imagined it would be. Now, I couldn't do my signature spread. I mean, this table that I have can hold a 78 card deck, every single card, comfortably, if they were like normal size. But this is oversized, and so I could never do a large spread with this. And even the 14 cards of my signature spread, I think, excuse me, the 13 cards of my signature spread would be kind of tough to showcase all of these cards at the same time. I mean, to do a reading. I'll probably just do a 3 or 6 card reading for my husband after we view this. So here we have the Rookie. Now, interestingly, the classic image of the Fool is at the precipice of stepping down or falling, right? And here he has to take a step up, which I think is an interesting juxtaposition. And, I'm not going to say what every card it's supposed to be, unless for some reason it shouts out at me. But I think we can all superimpose, the Magician, the female Pope, etc. Now, it's interesting, though, because number 3 card would be the Empress. And here for the female Pope, we have a woman coach, I think, right? We have a female coach, with supporting her team of primarily girls. I think there's maybe one boy. But for the most part, it looks like a female coach who's, coaching girls, right? So you would think that something similar would be for the Empress card. But we don't have a woman in this card. We have a gentleman. And they've replaced the idea, I think, of the emperor with a legend. That's a cute card for the number 6 card. You know how the whole team is together and there's companionship, there's a bond between them, there's, working together towards a goal. Control, that's a good one for the Chariot. He's on the go and he's skilled and he's got control. Okay? Power. for fortitude. So you see how it switched. I think this is clearly for fortitude rather than justice. Reflection 9. He's the gray-haired gentleman taking notes. God, what a good image for the wheel card. Sometimes you're encouraged and sometimes you're discouraged. Well, what a good choice. Here we have justice. The umpire, he's got a lot of responsibility on his shoulders to get it right. The slump, delay, right? I guess they're taking the point of view of the hanged one, when you're delayed or hanging around, waiting for a result or something. So I can see the connection there. Yeah, retirement, like a forced retirement. Makes me think of Lou Gehrig, or anyone else who's realized that they've reached their point where it's time. It's time. Now, 14 for the hero is an interesting choice. I guess, if you think about dreaming of like every boy's dream, I guess, is to be, like a star, a star player. I noticed that there's a lot of dust that's kicked up in this card. Originally when I was looking at it, I was trying to wipe it off thinking there was dirt on my card, but it's really just the picture. So it's like stirring up the juices. The greatest of all time. Looks like he's having a temper tantrum, though. Oh, it's the devil. Okay. Oh, the goat. Maybe they don't mean the greatest of all time. Oh, maybe they don't mean that. Maybe this is pre that, pre those letters for meaning greatest of all time. Maybe this really just does mean somebody who's not a good sport. Tower. Whole new ball game. I like how every now and then they'll throw in a black and white card or a sepia tone card with the color. The catcher for number 18. For the moon card. That's kind of interesting. The pitcher, number 19. Well, I guess the pitcher is usually the star. You'd think that would be the star card, not the sun card. That's interesting. What they have is the star card. Batting 1,000. The rule book for judgment. And the World Series. That's the goal, right? Manifestation of the highest prize for baseball. Now, we have suits. Here we have balls. Now, what I did is I put them in order according to what I thought they corresponded to, but I wanted to make sure I got it right, so I did check. But I was correct in my assertion of what each suit was represented by here. Balls represents air, and we can see right off the bat that the ball is flying through the air. And I think of the suit of swords as air. Everyone is entitled to have their own associations, and just because it doesn't agree with what you think, if you can just accept it just for perusing this deck, that's all you need. I imagine you could, sometimes if I know that a deck has water for swords and air for cups, I just read the deck. I read it according to their designations. So I think most of us can do that, unless it's really a complicated thing. That's interesting. 3 of balls. Shake off. So that would be the equivalent of 3 of swords being kind of like an emotional upset, something to shake off. 4 of balls, sidelined. So a little bit we see the correspondence with Rider-Waite-Smith. 5 of balls, curveball. You get thrown a curveball every now and then. I can see that for 5 swords. 6 of balls, a fastball. Strikeout. So I'm not exactly sure how, because I'm not fluid in understanding baseball. I don't watch all the games with my husband. What I know about baseball is just from what I pick up from him over the years. But I'm certainly not fluid in understanding. I do know what a no-hitter is. It's like a perfect game. So this would be the queen, I think. And then this would be the king, the highest. So they have a woman here. It looks like this is a woman. And I believe this was the designation for cups. It kind of has a well. Triple play. Well, that's a good thing. I know none of them want to see an error. I just, the artwork on this is lovely. I mean, I don't know. I can't tell what it is. I think it, it kind of looks like pencil, like colored pencil. But then there's some areas that maybe look like they might have a light wash of watercolor. But I don't think the whole thing is done with watercolor because we have too much texture. Nostalgia. Now here we have a couple of suits represented because we have the mitt, which is we have the mitt, the ball, and the bat. I don't see a base, which is the 4th. So it might be a little confusing because we have multiple suits represented here, but we do have the name. So I don't know if this deck is still in use. 7 of mitts. I mean, still in publication. I really don't know. Options, right? A circus catch. And the suit of bats. Beginning action. Take. I don't know what that means in baseball. A grand slam. I know that's a good thing. Rhubarb. Looks like confusion. Home run. I know that's a good thing. You know, when you hit that bat to that ball, you just know. You can tell by the sound. Line drive. Batter up. You're out of here. Bases loaded. No pressure. Switch hitter. So this would be the page of batons. Extra innings. The queen, coach of bats. And then the MVP is a girl. I wonder if I have them reversed. This might be a queen, but I thought, let me see. Let me pause this and verify. Nope, if we take a look at the order of the coach is the queen and the MVP is the last card. So I think consistently we've seen girls as the final card, which I think is interesting. And here is our last suit, Ace of Bases for the earth, right? It's the base that comes in contact with the earth, so that makes sense. And it looks like some kind of medallion or something. Two of bases. Pick off. I'm not really sure what that means, but it doesn't look good for the runner. He's safe. Hugging the base. This is not a good situation to be in. So you see in all the fives of this deck, the fives are all problematic. On deck. Eye on the ball. Hitting that home plate. 10 in a row. 10 of bases. Winning streak. And here we have a male MVP. Practical accomplishments. Okay, so I'm going to go off camera. I'm just going to do a fun request of the universe to give an indication as to how the Yankees will do today in their game, April 28th, against Milwaukee Brewers. And by the time you see this, it'll be probably several days old because I have a few other videos that are going to be in the queue. So let me go off camera so I can, handle and shuffle the cards without this camera in front of me. Alrighty, so this reading is dedicated to my husband who wants to know how the Yankees will do in today's game against the Milwaukee Brewers. It's an away game, so I presume that means it's going to be taking place in Milwaukee. And see how the game goes. I'm only going to lay 3 cards because I won't, or maybe 6 cards, but I think just 3 should tell us if it's a win or not. Fielder's choice. Oh, okay. So maybe the game will hinge on, making the right choices as far as who to choose for support at a critical moment. I guess this is a reference to either their pitcher or the opposing team's pitcher. The skill of the pitcher will be a factor. And the World Series, well, that's sort of a happy card to get for the last card. So to me, that suggests a win for the Yankees, since we're asking about the Yankees. And let's take for fun and giggles, let's see, we have an 8 with the quint card would be. We have an 8 and a 5, which would be 13. 13 and 21 would be 34. And so we'd minus 22. Check my math, but I believe that would be 12. And so the 12 suggests the Hanged. And the Hanged card, or the card that associates itself with the Hanged is the slump. So perhaps this suggests that they'll be coming out of a slump. I don't know. I'll have to ask my husband if they're in a slump, and maybe this gets them out of the slump, or maybe this game is the beginning of a slump, or getting out of a slump. So without the quint card, however, it does look like, it's about strategy, right? It's about being wise enough for the players to pick the correct person for support. It's about, pitcher talent, and it's also about batter talent and knowing your pitcher, right? And this card being the final card in the spread is a good omen, suggesting that they'll probably have a victory. And it will either take them out of a slump or begin a slump. Now, I think if you understood baseball much better than I do, then these cards probably would have more meaning. So if you're a fella and you like baseball, I think this deck would be an awful lot of fun for you to use. It's fun for me. I use it for my husband once or twice a year when he really wants to know. And I'll pull it out. I've asked him to peruse the cards with me to identify if he thought this was anybody in particular, for example, because he's, the legend, So I asked, does this look like any particular player? I thought maybe Yogi Berra or something, but he said no, he didn't. He couldn't identify any of them. I showed him a number of the key cards, does this look like a person who was in baseball, and he just said no. So they're just generic faces, I guess. But, sometimes tarot can be fun. In a few days, I'll be doing the Kentucky Derby. I always do a Kentucky Derby reading, always. Now, have I ever been right? It's interesting. I've done readings where the horse that I've chosen, and it may show that there's a problem, and then at the last second, that horse is out of the race, So it's in a way, it tells me if I pick a horse and then I, go into the reading saying, how will that horse do? It doesn't always tell me they're going to win, you know. And sometimes I'll use the cards to, let me flip the camera. Sometimes I'll use the cards to help me pick a winning horse. So what I'll do in those cases, I'll look at the sheet and I'll see, you know, I mean, I'm not going to be an idiot and you know, pick the horse that's like got the worst chance. Although the horse with the worst chance sometimes is the winner. So, but you know, I'll make educated guesses before I do my readings. And sometimes I wish I hadn't done the educated guesses. You know how that is in tarot, right? You take a set of information and then you go based on that, you know, because you want to make an educated guess, you know, and sometimes it doesn't work out. And sometimes just go with the cards and whatever they say, no matter how wild the thing is, just go with it. And I usually will do that for fun reads like baseball and for the Kentucky Derby. But I mean, let's face it, if I was able to determine lottery numbers and stuff like that, I'd be a rich woman. You know what I'm saying? But it's just for fun. And tarot can just be for fun. You don't have to have heavy duty, serious things on the line every time you do a tarot reading and, you know, or divination in general. You could just have fun. There's nothing wrong with having fun. And I think the baseball tarot deck is a fun way to incorporate tarot into the life of someone who is a baseball fan and, you know, has a reason to use the cards, right? It's the incentive, you know. You want to, if you're into baseball and you're a guy or a girl and you want to get into tarot, this might not be a bad gift to give somebody, you know. And I hope it's still in publication. I'd be very bummed out if I did all this and it wasn't still in publication. Until next time, friends, peace and stay well.